Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's weekly watch list. Hopefully you all had a wonderful, relaxing weekend and are looking forward to getting back to trading here come Monday. So before we actually get into the plays we're looking at, I'm going to do just an overview of the overall market as a whole, which I usually do. So we'll start off here with the ES futures. And this thing was on a tear this last week to the upside off of this head and shoulders bottom here. The concerning thing about this though is that the volume on it was declining a lot, yet it kept pushing and pushing to that upside. We did make a new all-time high here, but it fell quickly back down below these old all-time highs, so that's definitely something to watch as well. That could be a place of a resistance now up at these tops where it could start to roll over, and with the low volume on these big pushes to the upside, that's also something to be weary of, that we could easily see a fall back down to at least a reversion back down to the mean this week, which I think would be a nice healthy pullback for the ES here. Moving on to the Qs. The Qs are actually kind of lagging behind here compared to the other indices. If we look at these previous all-time highs, you think that if SPY is making new all-time highs that the Qs would be doing the exact same. They are not so much. They are lagging behind and are looking to actually start to roll over a little sooner than the others. So definitely watch for a reversion back down to this mean. I think this week we could definitely hit that level once again here. Now if we look at the Dow was similar to the ES here. It came up, made these new all-time highs just like the ES did, with this squeeze giving it that power to the upside. So that's why compared to the other ones, I think the Qs will start to roll over first, just due to their relative weakness compared to the other indices. That being said, I do think that the Dow, just like the others, should start to roll over to this 21 EMA before it could maybe make a continuation to that upside. So now the last one we're going to be taking a look at here is the Russell. So the Russell is definitely a much different structure compared to the other indices, but it did make a push with the other ones, with this squeeze kind of propelling it to that upside. Isn't really overextended at these levels here, so we could maybe see another dip to this 8 before maybe a continuation happening with this one, but the Russell does act a little different compared to the rest of the indices. So another thing that we should really be keeping our eyes on here is the VIX. So if we come back here and look at previous lows, we can see that this is a place of support on the VIX. So this could start to ramp back up to around this $20 range, which would then give the market a pullback here. And I do think that at the support lines, I don't think the VIX could really go too much farther here to the downside. So I think this week, or at least early in the week, we'll get a reversion at least back up to this 21 EMA on the VIX, which should bring down the overall market as a whole. So definitely levels to be watching here on the VIX for the upcoming week. Now getting into the actual plays that I'm looking at for the week, we'll start off here with DVAX. So we can see we have a great squeeze setting up here. Histogram is still below that zero line, but we do have 3 yellow bars in a row, which means it is gaining bullish momentum. We have our stacked EMAs, and we are trading above that 21 EMA. Ideally, look for an entry around this 1764, 1770 area for a good entry on this one. But I do think if this squeeze can continue, we'll get a nice push back up here to these highs. The next one's going to be General Electric. We do have a nice daily squeeze setting up. Histogram is above that zero line. Hopefully you can maintain that and then start reversing to the upside off of that. But we are also closing above that 21, which is nice to see. We have our stacked EMAs, and it's been consolidating here for a while between this +1 ATR and this -1 ATR. So definitely looking for a breakout on this one. Could definitely be to the downside or the upside. We'll see how the squeeze develops throughout the rest of the week. Another one I like here that I liked last week as well is Lucid Motors. So the squeeze was starting to push up here, got rejected at this +1 ATR, fell back down here to the mean. So I think this one could be a great buying opportunity early in the week, depending on if the market starts to roll over or not. But its setup is ideal here with structure looking very nice to the upside. We have our stacked DMAs, and with the squeeze hopefully starting to make another push to that upside, could easily come retest these highs over at these levels here. The next one I'm looking out for is Morgan Stanley. We do have our squeeze histogram above that zero line. Price is trading well above the 21 EMA. We do also have stacked DMAs. One thing though to look out with on this one is if we look at the financial sector, we can definitely see that it is overextended and is due for a pullback to at least the mean. And if it does pull back to the mean, then Morgan Stanley will definitely fall here as well, probably back down to a -1 ATR level. So be careful with this one and watch the financials. If they continue with strength, this squeeze should then fire to the upside following along with that sector. Last but not least, I am looking at Switch. Great daily squeeze. Histogram is getting close to that zero line. We're trading above the 21, and we have our stacked DMAs. Everything about this one does look solid as well. Hopefully we can get a push back up into these higher levels over here if the squeeze can continue to fire to that upside. So this is the weekly watch list. Hopefully it gives you all a few things to keep your eyes on in the market and a few stocks that you could also add to your watch list. So hopefully you all can get out there Monday and start making some money.